How the fuck are we doing today, boys?
It makes what's an already bad situation worse.
High out of our minds.
Infinity Ward, Treyarch, whatever. Dog shit companies.
Roasted.
Yeah, we had a beautiful weekend here in Kentucky.
True!
Green Earth, DMR.
So like,
Finish your fucking battle passes and then steal your mother's credit card, of course, to buy the new one. Code Hardstuck. It's a joke.
Are they gonna finish the fucking construction on it?
It's gonna be fucking terrible.
it's impossible to challenge.
Don't go to downtown.
Right.
Simply
You
stay
shouldn't
away.
be-
I have been following you all the way from Farmer Dan's land to the fucking village outside the stadium.
Fuck you if you like the Odin.
They're gonna be useless in quads.
Shout out to Tim, friend of the
Timbo.
podcast.
All right, we're doing the intro, boys. Lock it in.
I'd never die to somebody with a riot shield and nail guns.
Central New York, which is, of course, Canada.
I'm good at the video game. I love the Street Sweeper. What up?
If you like the Odin, you're dumb shit and you should unsubscribe from this podcast.
Yeah, I said you said high skill, but even still, like,
It pisses me off, so it's a problem.
Join the fucking Discord. Activision doesn't like us.
75 people left after the first zone closes.
Throwing this Logitech mouse through the window to my left. Moving on. Hello, and of course, welcome to all of you. This is the Hardstuck Podcast. This is a weekly podcast, kind of, where we talk about basically Warzone and things. So, welcome. My name's Boopsy, and today I'm joined as always by Mythic, and Gohan. And we're going to discuss our thoughts on Season 4 of Warzone so far. Patch has been out for just under 2 weeks, about 11 days, I think. A lot has changed since the patch dropped, and we will, of course, get into some of that. But before we do, how the fuck are we doing today, boys?
Good, man. Is anybody hungover from last night?
100%. I feel like dog shit.
Good deal. Good
no,
deal.
dude. I've been like a year without it, so like I'm feeling pretty good. I don't
Do
do
we-
it too
do we-
often, you know.
Do we get into what unfolded last night or not?
Which part?
Yeah,
Talking about-
which...
You want to talk about?
just-
You want to talk about the festivities, or you want to talk about the fact that we were all like molding at each other for a little
Oh my
bit?
god, I have not yelled that loud during a match of a video game since we were pushing ranks in Siege. I was fucking screaming at Mythic last night because he was
On the
drunk.
boat
He's
ramp.
of course hammered and making the worst decisions I've ever seen him make. And I'm just sitting here screaming into my fucking microphone. It's 1 a.m. I'm screaming. My girlfriend's furious. The cats are scared. It was a disaster, but it was a good time.
The dog's going fucking nuts. My dog, because I was.
Your
'cause I'd
dog was
watched
wilder
the
than
dog.
mine. Mine's usually the one whining, but yours was freaking out last night.
Yeah, well, so I guess we're gonna detour really quick, be a quick little detour. So my stepmom went into surgery, and so they left yesterday to go take her down to surgery, and I was home alone with the dog, and the dog is just fucking like he's 9 months old, I think now, and so he's still like a puppy, and he was like getting into shit upstairs, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm not gonna let him tear up the house. Like he's gonna come lay in my room and he's gonna fucking lock it in and relax. He wasn't locked in, he wasn't relaxed. Like that's a long story short.
He was wilding for sure.
We're loading into a lobby last night and Mythic's like, I gotta go get a water, or he was going to get a White Claw or whatever the fuck, Mike's Hard Lemonade, whatever the fuck he's drinking last night. And I just
Gage,
hear him
Mike
in the
Hard.
background. He's like, Gage, lock it in, stop digging up the plants, because mom's gonna come home, she's gonna kick your ass. And I just started laughing. So I hear that from across the room in his mic, and I start laughing so fucking hard.
Because I
Oh,
left the
God.
door open to my office, and he's sitting on the stairs. And then I told him this, it's like, mom's gonna come home and kick your ass. And he just like cocks his head sideways at me, like, oh, mom's coming home, she's gonna
Yeah,
beat
we'll
my
see.
ass.
Like, what's that
See what
mean?
happens. See what happens.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah,
bet.
we got I told Mythic, I said, Mythic, I'm drinking tonight. Get in your car and drive to the gas station, get alcohol. And he said, oh, I'm way ahead of you. And then Gohan pops in my stream, twitch.tv/itsboopsy, of course, sub Twitch Prime. Nick Merckx doesn't eat it. And Gohan's like, what's up, boys? I'll be home in like an hour. And I said, Gohan, we're drinking tonight. And he said, bet. Now, Gohan doesn't drink very often, so this was a rare occurrence, and it was, of course, very fun. Gohan,
Was
your
good time.
thoughts?
Bro, I don't know, man. I can't do it very often. You know, I'm old. I'm a boomer. So
Well-
I literally, it's been over a year. Almost a year. The last time I drank was when I visited you. Literally, that was it. So it was a wild time last night for sure.
Yeah, we had a little Hardstuck meetup. What was that, like?
It was like October last year. I
Yeah,
think?
last October, Gohan and his wife came up to New York to see Niagara Falls. I live in central New York, by the way, which is, of course, Canada. And he swung by Syracuse where I live, and we went out to this barbecue joint in town, and we had some beverages.
And my wife is obsessed.
Oh my god,
she talks about it all the time.
dude! The brisket sandwich. They do a brisket sandwich with like this horseradish mayonnaise and the fucking barbecue sauce and the cheese. Oh my fucking god! It makes me shit my pants, but it's worth it every time.
Yeah.
So good.
So speaking about like a hard stuck meetup in like a year, we're probably gonna end up putting out like we're probably gonna have a sit down IRL, like all three of us sitting around one fucking table doing an actual recording.
Gonna be lit.
Yeah, we're gonna put out some vlogs too while we're there. We're gonna keep it a surprise what exactly we're doing, but there's gonna be some fun content coming next spring/summer. It's gonna be a good time.
I just
Ways out, but
like
I can't wait.
talking,
It's gonna be so fun.
talking about like that meetup, and I was like, we're gonna get like, and it's not just gonna be us three too. It's gonna be like a decent amount of people from like the hardstuck community. So
The whole fucking crew.
like Screwball, Equator.
Everybody but Aqua's invited, of course.
Iro's gonna fly over from fucking Europe.
Yeah.
Bro, imagine. He would do it too, I swear.
He's got the fucking money, I'm sure.
Yeah, he would show up.
All right, so let's
If
get
not, he'd take it
into
alone.
let's get into these patch notes. Now, this patch came out a while ago, and some things have been repatched or changed since this, which we'll get into afterwards. But I'm not going to read off every single thing that they did, but we'll get into the noteworthy changes.
Pause. So should we talk about us changing recording dates or times?
Yeah, so we used to record on Mondays, but Mythic is no longer homeless and unemployed. He now is just homeless, according to Noah, friend of the podcast. And he does have a job now. So we can't really record during the weekdays because Mythic doesn't get it home until like 6 o'clock his time. And then he's got to whack off, take a shower, walk the dog, eat dinner. And by then, me and Gohan, who are on the East Coast and old and dying, we have to go to bed at 9 o'clock because we are old and dying. So we're going to shoot for like Saturdays recording, which means that it'll be posted by Monday morning, essentially. So your commute to work, whatever day you want to, if you're not homeless and unemployed like Mythic, your commute to work can be filled with hardstuck and malding.
Just homeless.
Yeah, now just homeless, according to Noah, friend of the pod. So yeah, a little bit of a change in the schedule. It shouldn't really matter too much. Basically, the only thing that's going to change is last week we didn't really have a podcast. But from here on out, instead of the podcast being live Tuesday mornings, it will be live either Sunday or but sometime between Saturday night and Sunday night, it'll go live. So you'll figure it out. All right. So these patch notes. The first thing that changed, and I think this is slept on, the snapshot grenade, which is a tactical piece of equipment in the video game, got a massive buff. Now, I still don't see anybody running this, but I think that is more to do with the fact that Ghost is as strong as it is. I think if Ghost got nerfed and Restock was more viable, and also if stuns weren't in the game because they're broken, then this would be very, very strong. So the snapshot grenade now reveals people for 2 seconds instead of 1.25 seconds. So that's like a, I don't know, almost 100% nerf, not quite. It's like a 70% or buff rather. And this is the most important part, the enemies who are revealed now are revealed to the entire squad as opposed to just the person who threw the snapshot grenade. Now, I didn't know this is how these worked beforehand because no one runs them because stuns are broken and heartbeat sensor is a must. But this is pretty fucking crazy. I mean, if you're doing a building push and you get a snapshot grenade in there and all four of you can just see people, I mean, you could have someone sit outside with an LMG and just spray through a wall while the other two or three people just like run up there with nail guns and shit on people.
Yeah, when I read this, I actually thought it was going to be seen a lot more. I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't. We haven't talked about it, but like I kind of forgot about it because I haven't seen anybody using it. I haven't been able to play much this week, but I think it's huge, to be honest. Like if we can find a way to make them viable, I mean, you know, if you can find a way to work around without stuns or heartbeat.
I mean, bring back the fucking Asval from like 2 seasons ago. Like That would make them viable.
Yeah.
And you could shoot through like 6 walls with that
Yeah.
ammo type and the
Or the
barrel or
AMAX
whatever it
can,
was.
or at least it could. I assume it still can. The AMAX could you could torch people through walls with it too. The MG82 was nuts at it before it got griefed, but
we'll get into it. So yeah, this was the change, the only change to like tactical equipment, which is disappointing because stuns are still broken.
that's never gonna change.
No, it's not. We'll get into it. Next episode, by the way, we're gonna deep dive into all the things that are terrible about this podcast. So expect a 5-hour podcast next week because there's a lot to get into there. The AMAX got nerfed.
You mean terrible about Warzone, right? Not the podcast, because this podcast is the best thing that's ever been produced, right?
We're the best podcast you'll ever hear, yeah. The AMAX got nerfed. The nerf to the AMAX itself wasn't as impactful in changing the meta as the buff to all Cold War ARs were. And we'll get into that. But the nerf is that it went from the upper torso multiplier decreased from 1.2 to 1.1, which basically made it one more shot to kill at like certain ranges, which is fine. That's a serviceable nerf. I'm sure if they just nerfed this, that would have like opened up for the Cold War AR and like the Farah to be good, but they changed all the Cold War barrels, and that basically made all MW ARs horrendous. So we'll get into it. The Groza had a buff. It's still not good. If you're gonna build it for like an SMG, it's fine, but you might as well run an XM4 because the time to kill is better. The MW Scar got buffed, still not worth using, nor is any other MW AR. The XM4 got buffed. It's nasty, close range. It always has been. It will remain. The AM63 no one's ever gonna run, so we're not even gonna talk about it. Ballistic knife got a buff. Don't use it. The street sweeper got nerfed. Sniper rifle Charlie, whatever I think that's the Pellington, got a buff, still horrendous. The Swiss had its reticle changed. It's just as bad as it was before. The submachine gun Alpha.
You think that's bad?
It's horrendous. Yeah,
you don't like that?
No. I don't like any. None of the Cold War default optics on sniper rifles are good. They're all horrendous. With the exception of maybe the ZRG. Maybe. Every other one is terrible.
I didn't like the like white triangle.
Well, they just made it black.
Yeah, and I like that more. I don't know what it is, but like even for like the 3 times, the actual 3 times, like it had like the little white dots for the default one. And I hated that. But now it's like the T-pose reticle.
Yeah, I'm just talking about sniper reticles when I say that all the sniper optics are bad. All the default sniper optics. So like if you
white inner glow is what I was saying, but
yeah, it was terrible. It still is bad. It's still not good. A Kar 98 optic is the only optic you should ever throw on a sniper rifle. Moving on. What's the assault rifle? What is the assault rifle fucking or sniper? I'm in a blender. Submachine gun Alpha from MW. Is that the MP7 or the MP5? I think it's the MP5.
I want to say MP5. Yeah,
it's MP5.
Cool. So the MP5 got a buff.
It was already decent, anyways. You could use it.
It's fine. The Cold War Bullfrog iron sights have changed. The KSP got a buff. It's still not good. The Milano got a buff, and the Milano actually has a better long range time to kill than like most ARs now. Now the bullet velocity is horrendous, so you'll miss half your shots.
Bro, if you guys are living on a rock and you haven't seen this, the long range Milano build, it's actually nasty. It's crazy. I was watching Tim run it the other day, and I was like, what is this? Like, why? He's melting people from a mile away with a Milano. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I said, the time to kill on the Milano is phenomenal if you land your shots, but the bullet velocity is terrible. So if your opponent is moving at all, you're not going to land your shots really. So like, it's good if you're playing in bronze lobbies and people are just sitting in the open looking at you at 80 meters. But I mean, in the lobbies I play at, that's not how the game works. So I don't think it's really viable. for a long
It's just
range
crazy.
build. It's a good SMG now, which is good. It's a really good like sniper support. Like I think this is basically what like the MP7 used to be. It's very low recoil and it reaches out further than most submachine guns do, which makes it a really good sniper support. But the AK and the XM4 are still better at that job. But if you don't like running those guns, then you can run the Milano and it's fine. I don't really recommend like pushing buildings with it because the time to kill isn't really great. As far
I
as
don't mind it as
SMG,
ground loot though. Like that's my favorite thing about it. Like when you pick it up off the ground, you feel pretty comfortable. I mean, it's not like
yeah, I would rather
I would
have
trade
this
it out for, like,
than a Cold War MP5 ground loot.
yeah, unless it's the purple one because it's suppressed too. That one's pretty nice. But
Yeah,
the
I mean, the ground loot actually right now, I think I have a note on the ground loot later in the notes, but the ground loot right now is almost as good as it was last season, except for the Hauer being on the ground. The Hauer is the worst gun, and it's not even a gun. It's terrible. You might have.
MW, side note, sorry. Just to correct our false statement. The SMG Alpha for MW is the MP7.
Okay.
So.
Oh, by the way, write MP7 in the patch notes, right? Don't write submachine gun Alpha. There's no reason. It's an MP7.
So all right. So I think Gohan and I've gone into this really quick. Gohan and I find it infuriating. I think most people do when they say it's like, oh, this is a blueprint for assault rifle Alpha or assault rifle Golf or SMG Alpha. Like, just tell me like which gun is it? Like, like I don't have your list memorized. I don't.
We
think,
were
like,
talking about this the other day too in game. I think it was Boopsy. He had a blueprint for, I believe it was a Farah. We were arguing over whether it was a Farah or a Krieg, and we like it doesn't even say the name anywhere. It just says the blueprint name. Like, just tell me what the name is. I don't care that it's legendary and has a cool name. Like, who cares?
What gun am I holding right now?
Right.
Because if I'm holding a Krieg, I'll pick up a Hauer instead because the Krieg's terrible. But if I'm holding a Farah, I don't even need my loadout because it's the best gun in the game now. So,
and like on top of that too is like if it's like I pick it up, it's gold, and even if like it's ground loot and like it says like what name it is, like the blueprint name, you can be like, oh, it's this blueprint, whatever, cool. Pick it up, and then it says this is the Krieg 6 or this is the Farah, like you know what I'm saying?
It could literally have the smallest text in between there and the type of ammo it uses, and just put the name. That's all I want.
Yeah, and then if like let's say I really like that blueprint, I can be like, shoot, boys, I want to go blow more money so Activision can increase their $6 million a day in microtransactions.
Yep. All right, Activision, hire us. We'll help you out.
Yep. Hire us.
Moving on.
Give us a credit code.
So,
hard
submachine gun Echo, whatever the fuck that is, got a buff. It wasn't
MW or Cold War.
MW.
Echo is
that's the other thing. For some reason, the Cold War weapons, they have those titles, the submachine gun, whatever. They started from A again for some reason with the Cold War weapons, but then in the patch notes, they always just put the weapon name. Like, stop putting submachine gun Echo. I don't know what that is. I don't have it memorized. I don't care.
Yeah, and it's not like they always do it either. Like down here, there's a note on the DMR-14, and they just wrote DMR-14. They didn't write TAC Rifle Alpha. You know?
Yeah, it's because it's a Cold War weapon. Every Cold War weapon they put in, it's just the MW weapons they did for some reason. It's always been that way since launch. It's been that way.
Every Call of Duty developer is wildly incompetent at their jobs, and they should all be jobless. And you should put literally any other game development studio in charge of this game, and it would do infinitely better. Moving on. So whatever submachine gun this is got a buff. Doesn't matter. It's not a crazy buff. TAC rifle DMR-14. It's the P90.
I think
it's still a horrendous gun. The DMR-14 got a buff for some fucking reason, as if we don't all remember how cancer that was.
It's still kind of scuffed, to be honest. The recoil's still really weird.
Yeah. So here's where we get into the most impactful of this patch, as far as changes goes. Cold War barrels, in general, with the exception of SMGs and shotguns, went through a massive change here. So for sniper rifles, the combat recon across every weapon in the game got a buff. It buffs bullet velocity from roughly 42% to 50%. This is pretty good. The assault rifle barrels got a massive buff. This is the reason that the FAR is overpowered, by the way. And this is the reason that the AMAX and the RAM are no longer really viable. And the reason that if you're not running a Cold War AR, you're just getting shit on because they have no recoil now. And this is the reason. The Ranger barrel increases bullet velocity by 50%, increases vertical recoil control by 15%, and increases hipfire spread, which is a negative, by 20%. The takedown barrel increases effective damage range by 35%, increases horizontal recoil control by 15%, and increases hipfire spread, which is of course a negative, by 20%. The reinforced heavy or match grade barrel, depending on what gun you're using, increases bullet velocity by 25%, increases effective damage range by 17.5%, increases horizontal recoil control by 7.5 rather, and increases vertical recoil control by 7.5%. Now, this sounds great, but they did you one better, because the Task Force / Spetsnaz RPK / Mil-Spec barrel does everything that one does, but double. So, whereas the reinforced heavy increases bullet velocity by 25, the Task Force increases by 50. And effective damage range by 35 instead of 17.5, horizontal recoil control by 15, and vertical recoil control by 15 instead of by 7.5. So the negatives to this barrel are also double the negatives to the reinforced heavy, but it doesn't matter because the negatives are ADS move speed, sprint speed, ADS speed, and hipfire spread, which don't matter on ARs if you're running them long range. I'm telling you, and we're late enough with this that you guys all already know this, but the FARA is the most broken. Well, okay, so the MG82 existed for 5 days. So with the exception of that, the FARA is the most broken, unimaginative, least skill-based, and most fucking cowardly weapon you could possibly use. And if you're not running it, you're going to get shit on by people who are. So it has no recoil. It has an incredibly fast fire rate, and it hits hard as fuck at long ranges. It's got something like a 680 millisecond time to kill, which is very competitive. The only things that really beat it are like the Stoner and the RPK and the Cold War AK. Now, the Cold War AK is the gun I would like to be using, but it has some recoil, which means you will miss a shot here and there. And if you miss one shot with a Cold War AK, the time to kill is worse than the FARA. And I promise you, if you're using a FARA, especially if you have a stupid fucking controller plugged in, which is of course aimbot, that you will not miss a single fucking shot. So run the FARA. If you're not using that, you're dumb. And you're gonna fucking lose. It's a cancerous meta. It's horrendous to play. The hit reg in this game is terrible. The fucking, oh my god, we'll get into a lot of this next week, but because the netcode is as low as it is, the fire rate of your weapon is essentially the most important factor. This is why that MAC-10 was as strong as it was, even though the time to kill wasn't actually as good as like other guns. The MAC-10 just fires so fast that you like 13 bullets register at once on the 12 hertz tick servers, so you just get one framed. You just die instantly. The same reason the fucking burst rifles were crazy broken and you were getting one framed by those, because it would packet all 3 shots of those into one hit, so you would just die instantly. It's fucking ridiculous. Activision, fix your goddamn servers or balance your fucking game. Do one of the things. One of the things need to be done.
I mean, speaking of balance, we were talking about this literally right before we started the podcast. 3 weeks ago, before this patch, the game was like probably the most enjoyable it had ever been, at least to us. Like,
literally the last podcast that we put out, I sat here and fucking praised a Call of Duty developer for making a balanced game worth my time to play. And with one singular patch, they threw all of that out the window. Now, the first thing that ruined this was, of course, the MG82. And if you weren't around for the first 5 days of the season, let me just tell you, I don't even know how to put this into words.
Be happy you weren't. That's what
Yeah.
you need to say.
Dude, it was as if you were getting killed by an actual laser beam. This thing had 0 recoil and the highest fire rate of any gun in the game, except for a MAC-10. But you were dying at 100 meters faster than you were dying to like a meta SMG up close. It was fucking ridiculous.
The worst part for me about that too is like after like a few games running it and be like, oh my god, this thing's crazy. I was bored, but you had to use it.
Yeah, and it's the same fucking thing with the Farah. These low recoil guns that do incredible damage are so fucking annoying because they take no skill to use. So like if you're crossing so remember the AMAX meta. Let's all take a trip back in time 3 weeks ago to the AMAX meta when the AMAX was the best gun to use. It had the fastest time to kill, right? But you could still use other guns. And why is that? It's because the AMAX, not only did it have an amount of recoil, it wasn't a lot, but it was some. It was enough so that you would miss a shot from time to time.
It was really the perfect amount for like controllers could still be able to use it and mouse and keyboards could still be able to use it.
Well, the thing is it wasn't like your recoil wasn't like 100% vertical. That's where the MG runs into problems. Even still, like if the MG, like, so let's say they like when they nerfed the MG and they left everything alone and just increased the recoil like they did, like people would still be using it.
Yeah.
Because it's perfectly vertical. Like it doesn't bounce left to right. It goes straight the fuck up. Like,
yeah, but just to further this point, and then I'll open up the floor and you guys can say whatever you want. So not only did it have some recoil, but it also had a slow enough fire rate that if you did miss a shot due to the recoil, it increased your time to kill drastically, which meant you could cross from cover to cover reasonably well. And if you had good enough movement and you could force them to miss like a shot or two, you would have enough time to make it to cover and like play it up and reset the fight. But with guns like the Farah being meta and it having no recoil, like you guys imagine the amount of recoil that a Kilo has. Now imagine that gun with that recoil having the same time to kill as an AMAX.
Yep.
It's fucking ridiculous, dude. You die.
I mean, it's a Kilo before they nerfed it, literally.
If you get shot at and you're not, it's worse than the Kilo ever was. But if you die, if you get shot at and you're not in cover, you're dead. You don't have time to turn around and take the fight. You don't have time to run to cover. If they have aim assist on their controllers, it doesn't matter how much you move or how quickly or how many times you change direction because they're going to stick to you anyway. You might be able to outmaneuver like a keyboard and mouse player, but there are 3 of those in every fucking lobby. So good luck with that. It's just terrible. And it's crazy because in this patch, they actually had the audacity to use the words increase skill gap. They actually put in writing that they were trying to increase the skill gap of this game, and then they put these fucking barrels in the game that make all Cold War ARs just fucking laser beams. How does no recoil equate to an increase in skill gap in any way, shape, or form?
I think the bigger problem too is like, how do you change? Do you just revert this? Like, if they decide that this needs to be changed, they're not gonna just be like, "Nah, we'll take it out, put it back to the way it was." They're not gonna do that. So like, I don't know how they fix this issue.
What needs to happen is they need to do one or the other. They can't increase recoil control on horizontal and vertical by that big of a margin.
Yep.
By 15% is far too much. Now, what you could do is you could make the reinforced heavy take away vertical recoil, and you could make the task force barrel take away horizontal recoil. But neither of them should do both. That's ridiculous. Because, dude, you can literally run a Farah with the task force barrel and no foregrip. Like, you don't have to run a foregrip at all on that gun, and it just doesn't move. I saw people doing it in the World Series or Warzone, and then you can either run the stock that makes you move fast as fuck, or you can run an ADS wrap, and it just gives you a free attachment. Like, the recoil is just far too little, and it literally makes for just a toxic fucking horrendous meta that rewards low skill gunplay. Basically, it's the worst game I've ever played by a significant margin.
So what they need to do is they need to take out the buff that they put in, that they gave the Farah like a season ago. or not a season ago, like a patch ago or whatever it was.
Which decreased the recoil. Even if they do that, the Krig is a laser beam. The Cold War AK doesn't have enough recoil. The XM4 at any range, all the recoil is vertical and it's not hard enough to control as it is. Literally every assault rifle that is a Cold War gun is a laser beam. They all have far too little recoil. They all feel like a kilo or a grau. They all have between that amount of recoil, which is to say none. It's fucking ridiculous. It's embarrassing, actually. If I worked for Raven or Activision, I would be fucking embarrassed about this patch and how the meta is right now, especially after how good it was 3 weeks ago. For them to have fucked it up this heavily, I mean, someone should be fired. Someone should 100% be fired for this.
Well,
it's fucking
the worst
ridiculous.
part is too is like we were heading into like I guess I want to say an open meta, but like it wasn't completely open. It was like a half open meta.
It was so good, dude. You could actually run like 5 different ARs and be okay. You could run a RAM, an AMAX, you could run a Cold War AK, you could run the Farah, you could run there was one more that you could run that was like decent. Fuck, it's skipping me now. Or it's escaping me now. But you could run, I think it was a Cold War gun. XM4 probably. But that was more of like a hybrid gun where you could do it close or long. But dude, the meta was so good, dude. The SMG meta is still good because they didn't change the barrels.
Yep.
The SMG meta is still as good as it was 3 weeks ago. But the AR meta is in the fucking trash can right now. It's so bad.
Like,
it's so fucking
I mentioned this
bad.
to you guys the other day. I saw a tweet the other day from some random on Twitter. I was reading through like a thread or something, and somebody was like, "This game needs a meta for like one weapon to be so good." And I don't understand that logic. Like, why do you want to have to run the same gun every single game? I don't get it. Why would you want that?
I mean, did he play the game in season 2 when the DMR existed?
Right.
Like,
I don't know. I have no idea who this guy was. It was just some random in a thread.
No, like that. Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like I loved like the DMR meta because I was better than everybody else.
I hated that meta. I literally played through it and I never used the DMR. I think my DMR is like level 30 maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a great time leveling up my DMR because I went and played on Nuketown, a map that I've been playing for 10 years. And I know where people fucking spawn. And so when you're playing hardcore, everybody's a fucking bullet. You're playing with a DMR, which has sniper penetration. So I am spamming it through walls at people, killing them in their spawn through 6 walls. Like, it's not fair. It wasn't fun for them, but I had a great time.
Well, so at least everything I want to say to defend them goes out the window because of how strong aim assist is. I want to say at least the DMR was hard to use because it was a semi-automatic weapon, but it wasn't because you could just fucking hold L2 and spam it. Now, for anyone who listens to this podcast who is a controller user who wants to stab me in the side of the head right now, I plugged in a controller last night for the first time since I was 18 years old, which is 6 years. And I landed on somebody who had his guns and full plates after a gulag with a fucking pistol and shit down this guy's throat. Now, I can barely use a keyboard and mouse. I am terrible on controller. My movement and aim is horrendous. All I did was hold L2 and spam the piss out of this guy with a pistol, and he fucking died.
You had like 5 headshots with that thing too.
I didn't aim at all.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, controllers, it's actually aimbot. Anyone who tells you any different is a fucking idiot. If your aim assist is actually working, which it does like 90% of the time. I know if you're aiming through like bars or through like a bush, sometimes you lose aim assist. Good. You shouldn't have it as strong as it is to begin with. But if aim assist works, you should never lose a fight.
How dare
to somebody
you,
who
they have it turned down, man.
Yeah,
they don't need aim assist.
Yeah, controller players, it hurts them more than it helps them. So I've heard on Reddit, you fucking stupid rats. I mean, I don't care that it's in the game, but stop pretending it's not aimbot, dude. Stop acting like you shit on me when you held L2 and spammed a fucking any gun at me until I died. Because you didn't fucking aim, you're dog shit. You can aim through stuns for fuck's sake.
I was watching like the YouTube shorts, and I saw this guy who just like fried 3 people jumping off a Nakatomi Tower, parachuting, and somebody's like, "Man, I wish my tracking was that good." And like I was like looking at the replies. The first one I saw was like, "It's called the controller," and I was like, "Yep, that's what I was gonna say. I'm just gonna like that and leave," because I mean, like tracking was on point. It was just unreal.
I also saw a video yesterday too of talking about aim assist, and like if you move, like if you
It
stand
was the
still,
Jack Frags video,
yeah, you
wasn't
saw
it?
it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you stand still, your aim assist is not nearly as strong. But if you're moving, which most people in Call of Duty are, because if you're standing still, you just lose. But so if you're moving, it tracks better, which doesn't make any sense. You know, like it should track better when you're standing still. I mean, I understand that they need more help to
Hot take:
track.
aim assist shouldn't track.
Right.
It shouldn't fucking play the game for you. Now, I'm sure there's people sitting here like, oh, if aim assist is so strong, why don't you just use a controller? Because I don't want an aimbot. I want to play the video game myself. I don't want to fucking hold one button and have it do all the work for me. And if you think that's not how aim assist works, you're a fucking idiot. Unsubscribe from this podcast. Leave us a 1-star review and get the fuck out. I don't fucking want you here.
Life, dude. And like playing it on mouse and keyboard is just so much more fun. Every game on mouse and keyboard, except for like if you're playing like a sports game or like some like RPGs or something like that, like those are the only games that are fun with the controller.
Like the
first
worst
person shooters
part,
are always better on mouse and keyboard.
the worst part about the worst part about Warzone and playing on mouse and keyboard is that dirt bikes are the hardest thing to drive.
I think the worst part is getting legally aimbotted by 78% of the lobbies you're in.
Well, I'm saying like when you're on like mouse and keyboard, like in like what
Yeah,
like
it's not
like,
fun to drive on mouse and keyboard.
So,
Let's compare the dirt back to flying a helicopter. Let's be honest, flying a helicopter on a mouse and keyboard is atrocious.
I did pretty good last night.
Flying a helicopter in
I mean, let's ask Boopsy how you did last night. I don't know.
We're moving on. Mythic is the worst pilot I've ever fucking seen in my life. But dude, all right. So we'll get into aim assist more at a later date.
Drink and fly.
Just know that if you play this game with a controller, you are aimbotting, and I won't accept I won't accept any excuses. You have an aimbot, you should never lose a fight. If I kill you and you have a controller plugged in, you are the worst player I've ever seen in my fucking life. You should never lose a gunfight if you have a controller plugged in.
1.009 KD or something like that.
Yeah. If I kill you with a mouse and keyboard and you have aim assist, you're actually you should just uninstall the fucking game.
If you have a worse KD than Boopsy and you're playing on a controller, you should go play Siege.
You should go play Animal Crossing with your girlfriend. You should actually first person shooters aren't for you if you can't beat me in a gunfight with a controller.
The Call of Duty players have girlfriends.
That's
I mean, if they have a worse KD than Boopsy, then they probably have a girlfriend because they're not playing the game 24/7.
True, actually.
Bro, I'm married. I have a worse KD than Boopsy, so
also facts. True. But you play on a mouse and keyboard, and you don't VPN into lobbies like Nick Merckx, so it's fine. All right. So moving on, right? The only other change they really had was they changed the bruiser grip for snipers to increase aim stability from 10 to 19%. All this really did was it made the Swiss better than the Car9, because the only thing the Car9 really had over the Swiss before this patch was the fact that if you use the precision comb, it literally didn't move at all, and now the bruiser grip does that. Plus, it gives you aim down sights movement speed, so it's just better than the Car9 now. So use the Swiss. Go look at my TikTok if you don't believe me.
I mean, the Swiss has a slower bullet velocity
by default, but with the new barrel changes, it doesn't.
Yeah. I was just making the statement.
True.
That's all.
All right. So, boys, what are our thoughts on the new guns? And by the new guns, I mean, of course, the MG82, the C58, and the nail gun.
So let's get the MG out of the way. Let's briefly touch on how much fun 12 hours of the MG in meta was, and then let's talk about where it is now, and then let's talk about how much we hated it for the next 72 hours after our first 12. Does that sound good?
All right.
Yeah, I touched on it earlier. I enjoyed it for like a few games, then I was like, man, I want to run something else. This is just not like it's a laser beam. You have to, but it's not fun.
I was the first of our friend group to have this gun fully leveled. I had this gun fully maxed out the night the patch dropped, or so the night the patch dropped, it was like a Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. or whatever. By that night, at 9 p.m. when I started streaming, the gun was max level, and I was the only one in my lobbies running it. And I was just running around solo lobbies, absolutely terrorizing people. Gohan saw it.
Let's also like make the point that day the patch came out, Oopsie and I woke up at like, what was it, 6 o'clock
6
my
in the
time,
morning,
8 o'clock, yeah, 8 o'clock your time, and we were fucking playing Warzone. We played Warzone for like 12 hours, maybe longer. And
Yeah, you guys were done before I was even like thinking of getting on.
yeah, like Gohan like got home from work and we had fully maxed out MGs. And we were already level 15 in the battle pass, or we were past 15. So
I was like I hit level 31 the day after I unlocked the C58 the second day the patch was out.
yeah,
And I had it max leveled that night. So yeah, I had it max leveled that night. I ran around with it when I was the only person that I was getting into lobbies with who had it, and I was just an unstoppable force. If I shot you, you were dead. It was ridiculous. And then everyone else, Tim the Tatman made a video, Nick Merckx made a video, and everyone else leveled it up. And it was the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, having 70 to 80% of the lobby running this thing was a fucking terror. And it was 2% worse than the Pharah currently is. It was not fun.
That's only because there was 40 extra bullets in the magazine.
True.
That's where that 2% comes from, if anybody who's bad at math. But yeah, so when Boopsy and I like leveled it, like we played at duos with it, and I remember Boopsy like just being like, dude, just look at that car and just start shooting where you think the driver is. And I was like, okay, cool. I cracked and downed the driver, and his buddy was just like coasting, like completely just clueless on what happened to his friend who was just in the pass or just in the driver's seat. And so he's like trying to switch seats, and I fried him too. And I was in the span of like 10
It was less
seconds,
than
I
2
killed-
seconds. It
Yeah,
was
like-
actually, dude, the time to kill on this thing was actually like half a second. So you could kill a whole team in 2 seconds and still
like, on
have
top of
30,
it, like-
30 bullets in your mag.
Like it did so much damage that you could disable attack rover and blow it up.
What we were doing, once everyone had this thing leveled up, so the whole lobby was running it, we would grab a Bertha in quads,
Or
and we would have somebody drive. It was Screwy, I think, was driving because he didn't have his leveled up. Gohan was driving because he didn't have his leveled up, and me and Mythic just had fully maxed MG82s, and we were just driving, like doing like gang level drive-bys at people, just shitting down their throats with these MGs. That was fun.
Running LC10 secondaries because we didn't know how good the nail gun was, or that's probably what we would have been running. And then trophy system on top of the Bertha, so we couldn't get C4'd or exploded or anything like that, and running restock when our second loadout came. So when we would melt somebody, down them, because there's 2 MGs shooting at one dude, and then their team's like scrambling. Gohan would basically like park it, and like we were already jumping. Like, I don't know if you've ever like rode on a Bertha with your friend driving and you jump, you get like a speed boost, and so you're flying through the fucking air, and we're switching our MGs, putting them in our back pocket, pulling out LC10s, throwing 4 flashes or stuns, stopping these kids from moving, and just melting kids. Gohan didn't even have to get out of the vehicle, and Boopsy and I were just like looming up. Hey, Gohan, you need a satchel? Hey, Gohan, you need a gas mask? Hey, Gohan, we got you a new thing. We got you a new gun.
Hey, there's 4 dead silences on the ground over here if you need one.
Gohan, you're muted.
Oops.
It's all good. What do you have to say? Go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, boys, I was honking the horn. Wait, there's another team up the road. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So
Please get in. We're going on a killing spree.
So I think it was the second day of this patch being live. Raven puts out a tweet, right? They say something along the lines of, "Hey, the MG's busted. Sorry. we're gonna nerf it. And Nick Merckx,
It looks like the MG. I got you. I remember this quote because it was this tweet because it was so fire. It looks like the MG82 took too many trips to the pack punch machine, and element 115 is banned in Warzone. So we will be adjusting the MG85 or MG82. And I was like, that's a fire tweet. And then fucking Nick Merckx comes around.
Merckx, in his infinite stupidity, being the controller using rat that he is, who of course VPNs into low KD lobbies like a fucking rat, fires back a tweet that says, "Give it a week, so he can continue to pub stomp 0.7 KD players in his VPN lobbies." And then Raven,
Can I ask a question real quick? Where did that meme start? The VPN thing? Where'd that come from? I literally have heard it like for the last few days, and I'm not aware.
I saw a TikTok like a month ago. It was this guy who had like a 1.7 KD, and every lobby this guy is in has a average KD of like 1.3. And then it showed Nick Merckx lobbies, and Nick Merckx has like a 3.7 KD or some stupid shit like that. And he gets in lobbies that are like a 0.7 to a 0.9 all the time. So they're like, how the fuck am I as a 1.7 KD getting in higher lobbies than a 3.9 KD fucking player, And everyone has come to the conclusion that Nick Merckx VPNs to get content lobbies. This is the worst tweet I've ever seen. And they respond to him saying, "Give it a week." They said, "Yeah, no, not going to do that." Now, what did they do? They waited a week to nerf it anyway. They put this tweet out on a Friday. It wasn't nerfed until Tuesday, which is 6 days after the patch came out. So they gave it a week,
So you know why they do that, right?
Because they're dog shit.
No. So like, there's an actual reason why.
Is it because consoles can only update except?
Yep.
Microsoft and Sony should be burned to the ground in game, of course.
So what it is?
Hold on. There's one more thing about this tweet thread. The best part of this tweet thread is still coming. So Nick Merckx replies to them saying, "No, we're not going to give it a week." 2 words. He said, "Anti-cheat." Now that is the funniest reply you could possibly give.
Got him.
Yeah, got him, right? But Nick Merckx, of course, VPNs into lobbies and uses a Cronus, so if they put an anti-cheat in, it better detect that shit too. All right. What were you gonna say, Mythic?
So this is so consoles had this issue in Siege, and like we knew about this. So Siege and like Siege PC, Siege and console are different, like are on different updates, right? Like some of the time, 95% of the time. So PC players would get content before, because on PC they don't have to go through Microsoft or Sony or anything like that to be like, hey, like here we got an update, here you go. They just push it to their launcher, right? But since it's a cross-platform game where we're playing with fucking Nick Merckx and all his controller fanboys
On a VPN, of course.
And so we have to get the updates at the same time, where they pay Microsoft and Sony like X amount of dollars, I don't know what it is, to like have their game like through them to like I guess like put it on their like servers, if that makes sense. And then they update it. And so they have to wait like X amount of like time, and then they can get the updates. So if it was just for PC, if it was split, PC players could get this update earlier for Warzone than console players, and it'd be like Siege. But that's not how it works, because
You know what would solve that issue?
What?
If we could turn crossplay off, so I didn't have to play against aimbot controller users.
Yeah, okay, but so then for people who like to play with their friends who are on console, then you would have to like wait
Get better friends.
5 days. I'm just saying that's where the argument comes in, the like counter argument to that. But anyways, so that's why that happens.
I understand it,
I
but
digress.
don't say, hey, we put the most broken gun in the game ever and we're going to nerf it soon, and then not nerf it for 5 days when Nick Merckx tells you not to nerf it for 5 days, and then tell him you're going to nerf it sooner and then not nerf it sooner and then get called out for not having an anti-cheat. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you. Anyways, what are our thoughts on the new gulag? This is the boat gulag that's not on a boat, and they turn the lights on, and still somehow it's the worst gulag I've ever seen in my life. What are our thoughts?
Put lights in the back spawns. I feel like
Sure.
those are stupid dark. I hate that you have to guess which way they're gonna break. So if they're gonna run like the gazebo side or hot tub side, like I
Actually,
feel like
what I've been doing lately to counter that is so most of the time in this gulag, I've watched all of you guys play gulag because I'm always dead first. So the most people pick one side or the other off the rip, right? So like you usually either peek that little half wall straight across, hoping they peek you back, go for the win, whatever. What I've been doing is if you run straight through the door in the middle, up to the like center part right there where the flag is, but you still stay on your side. Then that way you can hear so much better out there because you don't have like all the freaking crap going on above you or all the extra walls around you. You can hear a whole lot better, and you can see like you can have like a weird angle where you can see both sides very easily. It's like you just watch for the movement, and then like if you have stuns, I just throw a freaking stun and then launch some explosive at them because I'm a rat and I'm going to use stuns if they can use stuns. So that's been working for me really well lately, actually. I've won like
so
I don't know,
I guess
several
I guess
gulag
I
wins.
guess I didn't know like what like a proper strat was. What I have enjoyed lately is that I can hop over to the head like the wood head glitch and I can take an instant fight, and then if that results in nobody dying, then I just meet him at the hot tub and then we play a head glitch game there too. So
So here are my thoughts on the gulag. Visually, meaning the way that the light propagates in that, we'll call it a map, right? The way that the light works in that map is the best it has ever worked in a gulag, except for the Nuketown one. But physically, like the physical space that occupies the gulag is the worst it could possibly be. I don't know whether it's the long sightline I hate or the short fucking turn a corner and he's right there that I hate, but it's just such an unfun place to take a gunfight. Like the only time I ever enjoy the gulag is when we both peek that plywood piece of shit instantly and just shoot at each other. If it turns into a we're both in mid fighting there, I just am not having fun. It's terrible. There's the hot tub wraparound thing is too small to like actually fight in. So if you guys both end up on that side and you try and like jump shot or something, you're gonna end up vaulting the hot tub, which results in you dying. And then if you don't jump, you also die, because if you don't jump shot in this game, you lose. The other side is horrendous because if you go into the gazebo itself, there's like 7 different angles you can get seen from. And if you don't go into it, then you're just going to get fucking spammed from their spawn because they haven't left yet. I think my biggest complaint with it, and I don't understand how this is still a thing fucking a year and a half into this game's life cycle, but why can I hear the footsteps of everyone spectating the gulag? Why is that a fucking thing?
You know what else about that? This kind of goes along with that. Whenever you have a snapshot grenade in the gulag, I absolutely hate that it can mark people in the rafters. Because I've lost, I don't, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it makes me furious. It'll mark somebody up above in the freaking rafters, and then I look up because I'm like, what was that? And then I realize that it was just some Randy watching, and then I get shot.
It's the same problem with stuns, dude, because if you throw a stun anywhere, you're gonna get a hit marker, and then you're like, cool, they're over there, I just got a hit marker, and you push there and you get shot from behind, and it's like, why am I getting hit markers on people who I'm not fucking fighting in a 1v1 gulag? I understand that it's like cool to be able to spectate the gulag. It's not cool actually, because if you're fucking dumb shit, if you're playing trios or something and your dumb shit teammate's dead too, you should win that every time because you're getting live ping, you're getting fucking wall hacks on them the whole time. It's fucking horrendous. The gulag is terrible. It caters to the lowest skill gap in the fucking game, because if you die, like, hey, I come from games like PUBG where if you die, you're fucking dead. You don't get a second chance where you can run a street sweeper up mid in some 1v1 me on Rust bro bullshit to fucking come back. And not only does it lower the skill gap in that scenario, but it also incentivizes dumb fucking play, like in the actual Warzone, because if you haven't taken your gulag yet, you basically have a free push to fuck up, and so you'll end up doing stupid shit that you shouldn't do because you have a get out of jail free card of the gulag. So like you'll get pushed by someone who has no business pushing you, and you'll die because you can't hear their footsteps, because this game's audio propagation is the worst I've ever seen in a AAA title. And then even if you kill them, it doesn't matter because they're just going to the gulag and they're going to land on you in 2 minutes and get their shit back. And you've already moved on, and then you'll get shot in the back even though you've already cleared out that entire fucking section of the map. You'll get shot in the back by some dumb fuck rat who lost a stupid push and came back for free on a gulag. The gulag is terrible. The buyback system is terrible. Everything about this game is dog shit. Why do we play it? Fuck this game.
Bro,
Jesus
the
Christ.
buyback system is just like, it's expected to be ours now. Like PUBG's like the only one that doesn't have it at this point.
Yeah,
Which is
like,
why
I mean,
PUBG is the best game.
Fortnite has the fucking
Reboot,
reboot
man.
cards.
Yeah, but at least in Fortnite, to reboot your fucking
you have to
teammate,
do it.
you have to go up and get their fucking card from where they just died. So at least you have it's like a risk or reward thing in Fortnite, at least.
It's kind of the same thing with buybacks though, because it lets off that giant sound.
It doesn't matter because you can fucking move at the speed of light, and the visibility is so fucking bad that if you're 50 meters from the buy station, by the time I push it, I'm not gonna fucking see you because the visibility's dog shit. And even if you still stay there and you're just fucking waiting for someone to roll up, you can fucking sprint around a house with no fucking footstep audio and kill me because I don't fucking see you head glitching a stupid fucking window mounted with a goddamn kilo or a fucking piece of shit Farah with no recoil, and I'll be dead before I can even react. Fuck this game.
We're gonna take a short break here, and
No. Moving on.
Let Boopsy take about 10 deep breaths.
All right, so
catch up after that one.
realistic. All right, so one more thing to say on the gulag. This is a hot tip for you all. So if you take the hot tubs, if you don't win, or if you don't get in an instant engagement on that long angle where the head glitch is, always take hot tub side, because behind you, if you're standing at the hot tub, behind you is dark, so they can't fucking see you if you're standing on that side. Whereas if you take gazebo side and you're between the gazebo and the flag, you're standing in front of a gray backdrop, so you're very easily visible. For the first couple days, I didn't realize this, and I kept losing fights to people who would just head glitch the hot tub looking at the flag, and I would go gazebo side thinking, hey, this is the better side to be on. It's not. You can't see people if they're at the hot tub. So just go there and you'll win every fucking gulag, unless you get stunned by a controller user, of course.
Or just take mid. I think you need to try just like pushing up mid. It works. It works more often than not for me. But hey, to each their own.
I might just uninstall this game and not have to worry about it anymore. I think that's the best plan of action. What do you guys think about the updated ground loot?
We touched on this earlier. I mean, I like the Milano. I'm glad it's kind of back and useful. The and what else did they add? The Cold War MP5 is nice to see. It's decent. The MJ2 is kind of now. It was great before, but now it doesn't really matter.
It's still ridiculous as
I
far as
liked
ground loot
that
goes.
I liked how in this season, when the new guns came out, they also put them in ground loot, so people could like level them up through like the play of like the game, and like they could pick it up and like test it and be like, hey, this gun's pretty good. Hey, this gun's not good. Because like I didn't have the C58 unlocked, but I remember picking up the ground loot one and I was like salivating every time I picked it up. You can ask Boopsy. I have a cute little clip with me getting a 3-piece with the 45 round mags in that fucker. So Boopsy's like, damn, Mythic, you looking pretty cute with that with the C58. I said, yeah, I think this is my new gun. But then the MG came into meta, so
The C58 is the new AMAX. I
Yeah.
wish the
Lower
C58 was
fire
the
rate.
best gun in the game because it has more recoil than a Farah and a slower fire rate. So if you miss shots due to recoil, it increases your time to kill. It's a high skill weapon, so I like it. I wish that was the highest TTK long range because I think the game would be in a much healthier spot. You would actually have to be good to take advantage of that gun's insane time to kill, as
Even with
opposed to
the
using a Farah, which you don't
slow
have to be
fire
good to
rate, it's
use.
not that bad.
Yeah,
The
it's
slow fire
phenomenal.
rate's not that bad.
It's phenomenal,
I'd-
but you'll still die to a Farah because they'll never miss a shot.
I'd like to see the C58 get a very, very minor buff, just to put it like over the edge.
It doesn't need a buff. The Cold War barrels need a nerf, and I think the AR meta will be in a good spot.
Yeah, but I'm
Um,
saying like let's say like they don't change the barrels back or anything like that. I think what they should do is give the Farah a little bit of recoil and then give like a 0.1 increase to the C58 stats.
like the damage multipliers for chest and head.
Yeah, that or like increase the range barely a little bit, like the effective damage range, and then increase the like its overall damage by like 0.1.
I could see that. I mean, the biggest thing is the guns just shouldn't be laser beams.
Yeah, I mean
The-
it's got like it doesn't
the
have an
best-
unbearable amount of recoil, but it's also slow firing. So like you're gonna get it's I don't know. I see potential of that gun being really good, but it's just not in the game's not in a spot for it to be really good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the biggest problem with the meta right now is
The far.
there should never be a situation in which the highest time to kill gun also is the easiest gun to use. That's why the AMAX meta was good relative to what we have now, because at least it was not the easiest gun in the game to use. So in order to get the fast time to kill, you had to land shots that you had to control recoil to land. Right now it's terrible because the Farah doesn't take any skill to use, and you still get
Well,
the
you could
fastest
use,
time
like,
to kill.
the Growl and like the Kilo because like those guns like had no recoil, didn't hit extremely hard, and
I
they were
used
just
them often
laser
last
beams.
season.
Yeah, but
Up
that's
until
what
the
I'm
end of the
saying.
season, I use them all the time.
Yeah, but like that's what I was saying. Like the AMAX had like a little bit of recoil, but it hit harder.
Yeah.
Those guns had no recoil and didn't hit as hard.
And that's
what
how
was
you
nice
should
about
balance.
it.
That's how you balance
Yeah.
weapons. Hi,
Yeah, that's
hire me.
exactly.
I'll do a
I-
better job than your dumb shit devs do. All right. So my thoughts on the ground loot. The Howler is the worst gun in the game. Take it out. At least they took out the M60. I'm happy about that. I never want to see that gun in the game again. I actually like the fact that they have a bunch of like blueprints in like for ARs and SMGs. That's kind of cool. What I don't like is the 4X being on half the fucking purple and gold ARs because the 4X is unusable because the reticle's terrible and it zooms in more than 4 times. Other than that, the ground loot's fine. I think the SMG ground loot was better last season, but I think the AR ground loot is better this season, with the exception of the QBZ, which is a terrible gun. Get it out of my fucking face.
I will
Gross.
say with the Howler, as much as I hate that gun, as much as I hate when it's the only thing I can find, there are definitely times where you can outplay people with it, and it's pretty fun. If you
So
get some good movement on them.
Boopsy and I stormed the building, killed this kid. The kid had a Howler. I picked up his Howler. Boopsy only had a Howler. And his dumb shit friend comes running up the stairs. Boopsy shot him once, cracked him, and got down. They traded shots, and he steps to the corner to finish Boopsy. Didn't know I was upstairs, and I just sat this kid. And he was bro, he's so weak. Like it was great.
So the problem with the Howler is the fire rate is too slow for how much damage it does. Now, I'm well aware that you can one pump someone if they are sitting in your lap. But at that point, you might as well just melee them because this game made melee viable for some fucking reason. If you're in a building and you're more than 3 meters from someone, you're not going to do enough damage. Like I was literally 5 meters from this kid last night playing the game. This is what made me rage quit, by the way. I was in like one of those warehouse buildings. I think people call them ground war. one of those buildings. And I had some dude at the top of a staircase, and I was at the bottom of the staircase, so no more than 5 meters from me, right? And he peeks me with like some stupid shit gun, like a fucking stoner or something, and I peek him with a Hauer. I hit him twice with a Hauer. He had 2 plates. The first shot cracked his plates. The second shot put him to 5 HP, and I just got melted. Now, why a slow firing shotgun doesn't do enough damage to down someone in 2 shots when you're hitting every pellet to their chest from 5 meters, I will never understand. But it's terrible. Take it out of my game. Or, well, don't buff it, because shotguns are the worst fucking guns to have being viable in a meta. But just take it out of the ground loot, because I'm sick of dying with a Hauer in my hands. It's terrible.
I think part of the issue is it's wildly inconsistent. Because you can shoot
the same thing.
Just like everything else in this fucking game. Shocker.
But so here's my biggest gripe with it, where I can shoot somebody from the same exact distance and hit them down to like hit them for like 70, and then they can hit me for 100 HP from the same distance.
Well,
I'm like,
the
what's the
Hauer in the
difference?
Gulag. The
Like-
Hauer in the Gulag is the exact same way, dude. Like, I was watching Boopsy literally last night in the Gulag with a Hauer. Shoot somebody from the exact same distance, ADS, everything, right at his face. He gets a hit marker, the other dude one pumps him. It's happened to me. Why? I don't even understand. I mean, it's got to be something with the pellets hitting or whatever, something like that. But like, just still, I've sniped people with it.
Spread. Give it a tighter pellet spread.
That probably helped too, to be honest.
Because then,
or take it out of the game, because it's not fun to use.
Yeah, okay, but what I'm saying, therefore, it incentivizes like accuracy. Like if you like can fucking hit your shots, instead of me being like halfway off this dude's reticle when he pulls the trigger and it killing me, and like I don't know. Anyways, I digress.
Just get 2 of them, and you can't go wrong. Double pump meta.
Jesus Christ. You guys want to talk about red doors?
They're cool.
They're cool, but
better.
Is there a reason they don't all just spawn every game?
So
Like, why? What is the benefit of having them just random like that?
So there's like 7 different buildings in the game that the red doors could spawn at. And there's probably like a 60% chance of them spawning at any of those given places. Now, regardless of whether that's a good way to implement them or not, what the red doors do is if you go through them, you're transported to a building or a room in a building, one or the other, that would otherwise be inaccessible to everyone else on the map. So the only way to enter this building is to go through the red door, and it transports you there. Once you have entered the building, all the doors unlock, so you can open it from the inside or outside once someone's gone into it. And I learned this last night playing a solo before you guys hopped on, because I heard there's a sound cue when someone spawns in a red door. So I landed like somewhere, I don't remember, and one of the little tiny huts was like a red door location, like a spawn point from where a red door would take you. And I was like, fuck, that sucks, because I can't loot that. And then like 30 seconds later, I got the audio cue of them spawning in there. So I mounted like a rat and waited for them to come out the one door. And when they opened up the door, I fucking melted them. And I got a satchel and an advanced UAV off their body.
Yeah, it literally happened to me in Mythic the other day.
Yeah,
we walked out of the building. There's just 2 people standing there. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
cool.
and like we had like, and that's when Gohan and I were like, I wonder if there's a sound cue that happens when you like go through it. And we were like, we kind of figured as much, because like, you had no idea. Like, but while we're in the hut before we opened the door, I called in that advanced UAV, and there's just 2 people right on top of us. I'm like, huh, that's interesting.
Open the door, we're dead.
Jump out, start spraying at a rose skin that I can't see.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of the red door mechanic. It's fine. Like, it doesn't offend me. It's fine. I think my biggest gripe with it, I don't care if people have advanced UAVs. You could get those anyway, basically, by buying 3 UAVs. I don't care if people get gold gas masks. I never pick up gas masks anyways, because they kill me more often than they help me. Get better at positioning, and you won't have to worry about the gas. My biggest gripe with them is that it makes parts of the map inaccessible. So like if you're like me and you don't like to land at Superstore every game, and you like to land away from scavs, because you're not dumb, you're not a chimp, then you'll know that sometimes you end up landing at a place that only has like 4 buildings in a compound, right? So if you land at one of those places and one of the buildings is entirely inaccessible to you due to a red door mechanic, that cuts your loot that is available for you to get at that place by 25%, which punishes you. And half the time people don't even end up spawning there, so that door never opens and you never even get into a gunfight with the person. And that was just a unutilized part of the map in a video game where half the map is underutilized anyways, because they put 4,000 buildings in downtown and only 1.5k of them are accessible. Change your game. It's dog shit.
That's a fair argument. My only gripe is that they just don't like. I hate whenever we go to a spot because we don't even go to them off the rip. Like that's if they were always there, then you have people going there straight there. You know, it'd be like going for a scav and like 40 teams laying there, whatever. So that's good that way. But like sometimes like when you're really desperate, like when we go there like hoping like to get on a retake or something, like that's when I really just want them to always be there. But I don't know. I see both ways.
Well, and on top of it, like what I do like about it is that they're not viable for like duos and like trios or quads, because you're gonna go through it. You're gonna get a satchel. You're gonna get $4,000.
Well, there's not even a guarantee you'll get a satchel. They're just orange chests. Like you might not get a satchel.
Like so you're gonna get.
You're either getting a satchel or stopping power, basically.
Yeah. So, but like you might get a satchel. You're not gonna get a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Like
unless that's what that chest drops, then you'll get like 6k, 20k, like that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm the one who finds 20k.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Like I said, it can go both ways. It's very weird, and they're not.
I would like to see
useless, but they're not the most useful thing in the game either. So
I would like to see these be like I think instead of having most wanted, I think red doors should be like a contract.
I was literally kind of thinking the same thing. I was gonna say, what if they were like in zombies, like how you have to buy your next door or whatever? Like, what if you have to pay to open the door?
I don't even think that. I think that so you leave all the contracts on the map as they are for spawn. So when you spawn in, there's no red door contracts. And then when the first circle closes, it should spawn like 10 red door contracts across the map. And what it should be is it should be like a supply run where you pick up the red door contract and that spawns a red door. And then you have 90 seconds to get to that red door. And then it has a bunch of money and a bunch of shit. So like it's viable for like retake. Because as it stands, retake in this game is horrendous. If all your whole team dies off the rip and you all go to gulag, you might as well just hard reset. But if the contract spawned after the first circle closed and you could drop down, grab the fucking red door contract, go open the red door, get enough money to like spawn 2 or 3 of your teammates back, then you're kind of like back in the running. You know what I mean? Without having to do like a most wanted, which marks everyone on the map can see where you're at and shit like that. I think there should be more retake potential. And I think the red doors would be a great mechanic for retake. But as it stands, they're just inconsistent and RNG and just further add to the inconsistency of an otherwise inconsistent pile of shit game that is Call of Duty Warzone.
Do you want to quickly hit on our most wanted, almost a win, our third place most wanted win, almost?
Oh, one we got the other day in Farmer Dan's.
No, this is Boopsy and I in a
Mythic
duos.
and I were playing duos. Yeah, you can get into that if you want.
So Boopsy was getting like, so Boopsy instantly like got tracked after we were like on our way to get our loadout, and I was like fine, and like we were just having a fucking vibe, and I was like, oh fuck it, let's give him incentive. So I pick up a most wanted, and I was like sticking to Boopsy's ass like glue, and we killed the people tracking us, got our loadout, and then we ran like through the map. We got like $5,000 from that. We got self-reses, UAVs, and then I was like, where are the people? And Boopsy's like, I don't know. And so we were trying to find people, and I said, fuck it, we'll just have them come to us. And so I picked up another most wanted, and we ended up picking up like 3 or 4 most wanted, so people would come to us.
Yeah, I actually like this. If you're trying to play aggressive, I like this strat more than I like hunting bounties, because it's simply less work. if you're hunting bounties, you're hunting people who have the advantage of positioning themselves for the fight. Whereas if you are the most wanted, you are the person who positions yourself for the fight. Now, you're at the disadvantage of everyone on the map knowing where you are, but if you're trying to get high kill gameplay like me and Mythic do in duos, it's basically the best way to ensure that you're going to take gunfights virtually the entire game. Because everyone on the map knows where you are, and everyone on the map wants that fucking 12k or whatever they get for killing you. And we're better than everyone, so we just kill them instead. It's actually a lot of fun, and it's a lot less work, like I said, than bounties. Because half the time you pick up a bounty, it's fucking 400 meters away from you, they jump in a Bertha and they're gone. So it's like, cool, now you get to wait 3 minutes until we can do anything else. Whereas if you pick up a most wanted, you're just basically gonna, at least like 3 teams are just gonna start sprinting towards you immediately, and then you can just fucking fight them, and it's fun. It's actually a lot of fun.
We were running nail guns and MGs, right?
Yep, that was back in the dark days.
With restock, and so that was the other argument to it too. It was like Boopsy and I have like sworn off getting Ghost most of the
Ghost
time.
is a scam. Ghost and scav contracts are a scam.
And
Run restock and stop landing on scavs.
And so they call in UAV, you know where we are anyways, might as well just ping it for the entire lobby to come hang out with us.
True. At least then we know that everyone knows where we are, whereas if fucking some rat with a heartbeat sensor somewhere and we just don't know that we're on their fucking radar, you know? Okay. So, we could talk about the satellites real quick. These are already out of the game, but they were in for like a week or whatever with the event. Basically, there was a bunch of little like satellite beacons around the map. They were in random spots. You could like sit by them for like 30 seconds or whatever, similar to a recon contract, and you could like activate it, and then the loudest thing you've ever heard would fall from the sky, like 100 meters from you. You could run to it, and you could pick up either an armored Bertha, which got taken out basically immediately because everything that has mounted guns on it, like the helicopters and the Berthas, every time they put mounted guns on any vehicle, it causes an invisibility glitch, which it did again because this company's dog shit and they don't know how to make video games. You could get a free loadout, or you could get an advanced UAV. I think those are the 3 things you could get out of them. So it was pretty cool. If you came across one, it was worth doing, but it wasn't worth like seeking them out because they were so inconsistent to come across. That was cool. It was fine. It was fun and exciting, I suppose, but those are gone now, so it doesn't really matter. You guys have any thoughts on the satellites?
And everybody got like what, $1,200 out of it too? Your entire
something like that, yeah.
That was kind of cool.
It's nice when it gave you a free loadout.
Yeah, the free loadout was the best.
I mean, you get a harp too, or whatever, but the
That was nice too,
maybe
because
the best one.
like if you got a loadout and then you did one of those, you're like, oh, like stumbled across it. Then you could get them Boops and I could get restock and then just go torture kids. So
Real
that
quick,
was
since you
cool.
guys have been running restock too, the thing I've been doing lately is I haven't been grabbing Ghost either. So like I've been basically just leaving a loadout open, so we can keep using that loadout as long as it's in zone. It's been pretty helpful to save us a couple times, being able to get an extra loadout.
Because you've been picking up like our extra weapons, right? Like
Yeah.
because we like I have an LC10 restock class and an AR restock class,
And I have a C58 on my restock class.
and so you've just been picking those
But
up,
like,
right?
like not even just that though. Like, I think it might have been a duo. Maybe it was a
It
trio.
was me and you. It was
Yeah.
me and you running.
We were talking about it the other day though, because like, so like if you leave, if one person in your squad doesn't grab a loadout, say somebody dies in your team, you buy them back, they can land on that loadout again and again and again until everybody has a chance to use the loadout. So like potentially it could save you and let you get a loadout for free, which
is pretty cool.
People do it all the time, and like we've been able to utilize that a little bit better lately because you guys haven't been grabbing ghosts, so I don't need to grab ghosts. There's no point.
Also, with the prevalence of advanced UAVs in the game right now, I think Ghost is a scam. Anyways, because they're behind virtually every red door, and especially when the satellite things were in, you would get those out of like 60% of the satellites too. So there was just almost constantly advanced UAVs running, which makes Ghost negligible anyways. So we just started running restock because of that, and then we realized how powerful taking 4 stuns into every gunfight is, and we just kind of kept running with it. So now I have sworn off Ghost. I don't think it's. I would like Ghost to not be in the game, period. So I'm personally not going to use it because I don't like the gameplay it incentivizes, which is of course rat gameplay.
It's pretty
Uh,
much not worth it anyways, like ever, unless you are the rat. That's the only time it's useful. I mean, if you're running around, it literally doesn't matter.
yeah,
They're gonna they're
like
gonna
I
hear
said,
you. They're gonna see you come in. Whatever.
I
Like,
don't run Ghost for the same reason we picked up Most Wanteds for an entire game, because it's more fun to take gunfights than it is to not take gunfights. It's that
Yep.
simple, really. All right, so do you guys have any other thoughts about season 4 up to this point? What, we've kind of hit on the MG, it got nerfed. We've hit on the Pharah and how toxic that meta is and is going to continue to be. We've hit on the AR barrels for the Cold War weapons. We've hit on the SMG meta. Is there anything else we left out?
Nah, I think some things need to change for Warzone to be back to being in a healthy spot.
Well, let's not use the word Warzone and healthy ever again in the same sentence, but I agree. And they could
better place.
they could do a lot better. Like last season, season 3 was the best this game has ever been, and I am astounded that it took one patch to fuck it up this royally. But not really, because it's Call of Duty, What are you gonna do? Gohan, any additional thoughts?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up. Like, my biggest gripe is just like all the Cold War weapons being busted because of the barrel. So let's fix
All
it.
right. So I have a question to pose to you two gentlemen. Once the Pharah gets nerfed, and I guess we'll put it this way: once the Pharah and the nail gun get nerfed, what do you think the meta will be? What do you think the best in class guns will be for like long range sniper, SMG, sniper support? I'll go first. I think what I would like to see is the C58 be best for long range AR because it has recoil and it's low bullet, whatever, rounds per minute, makes it, a higher skilled weapon. So I would like to see that be similar to like how the AMAX was. As far as SMGs, I really think that all it would take is the nail gun getting nerfed to put SMGs back in a good spot, because right now, like if you exclude the nail gun, the Cold War MP5 kills fastest, but it has a fuck ton of recoil and the range is dog shit. The LC10 is a pretty good all-around weapon with great mobility, decent range, but it's not quite as fast at killing up close as like, the MP5 from Cold War. The MW Cold War is best for hipfire. Or no, the MW MP5 rather is best for hipfire. The Bullfrog is good if you can land headshots, which is to say if you're on a controller, use a Bullfrog. The PPSH and the MAC-10 are still good. They're bullet hoses if you can get into people's faces, and they're high mobility. So if you can just like run circles around people, those are good guns too. So the SMG meta, with the exception of the nail gun, which has a broken time to kill, of course, is actually pretty good right now. So I think that's for SMGs. I hit ARs already. I think the Swiss is and should remain the best sniper in the game. And then for like sniper support, I've been really liking the XM4. But I have a class that has a AK for like sniper support, so with like a hollow on it, and also have run the Pharah as well in that same category, and they all do well. So I think the sniper support AR is in a pretty healthy state right now too. I just think long range AR is busted at the moment. Other than that, we're doing okay, with the exception of the nail gun, of course.
Yeah, I think. I mean, once the FAR is nerfed, like it could go a few ways. Like you said, C58 has potential. I mean, with the small nerfs that the AMAX had, it's possible the AMAX can make a comeback too. SMGs, you covered those two. Pretty much everything. I don't care about snipers. I don't ever snipe. I suck at it. Fight me.
Cold War AK too has a really good time to kill. It just has
possible.
more recoil than a Pharah.
There was that one build that you gave me that one time that I liked, but I haven't been able to have any more luck with it since like that day. That one day it worked for me, and I haven't been able to use it since.
I'd like to see the C58 come into meta. I really would.
Yeah.
I would. So yeah, the C58. The AK, of course, because it's a good gun. Yeah. So the AK and the C58, I guess, for like ARs after the FAR is nerfed. SMGs are pretty like fairly balanced. I definitely feel like people are gonna start running the LC10 more again because that was pretty popular. I could see the Bullfrog coming into meta because the Bullfrog is so, I guess, what's the word? it's so flexible, I guess, with like attachments. You don't have to put a mag on it. You can run a stock and like a rear grip. You don't have to put a foregrip on it because it really doesn't have like an extreme amount of recoil where it climbs a lot or anything like that. So I don't know. I like it. I like the Bullfrog. I'd like to see the 74U get a slight buff too. Put it in the
I've
meta.
used it some. It's not terrible, but like I don't really know what it needs.
I don't know what
Bootsy
it
might
needs.
have the stats on it, but I don't.
I don't know. I don't know what it needs either, but I definitely feel like it's close to being on par with every other SMG.
I think it feels very close to the MP5, the Cold War MP5, is what it seems like to me. It's not far from it, but it's just not as good.
The 74U is an interesting gun because it has the best bullet velocity of all Cold War SMGs by default, which is to say, without a barrel attachment, it has the best bullet velocity. What it lacks in is close range time to kill. So I think the the AK-74U from Cold War could be a good like sniper support gun in the same way that like an MP7 used to be a good sniper support gun because it has good bullet velocity and not a lot of recoil. I think it could fill that niche very well.
There's actually a ground loot AK-74 that's
It's like
pretty
purple.
good. Yeah, that one's actually really good.
It's suppressed off the rip, which is nice.
Yeah.
But
I enjoy
I
that
find
a lot.
myself every time I pick that thing up, I die to a Milano though.
Yeah.
Every fucking time.
It's very weird, like because I've had some success with it because I run it with what do I have it with? I don't remember. Oh no, it was with my Krig. It was with my Krig class. I mean it's good again, but like if you're up too close, you're losing the fire rate because it doesn't shoot as fast. If you're at like a 15 to 20 meter range, you're going to lose to an MP5. If you're further than that, you could win, but if they have the proper happen to have the proper AR setup, you're just going to lose too. So it's very weird.
Yeah, it's a super inconsistent
I want it to
gun
work
for sure.
I'd like to see the sniper meta shift. I'd like to see the AX50, the HDR, the Tundra, those the big boy snipers, quote unquote, come into effectiveness because you can ADS so much faster with the Swiss and the car that you can't use the big boy snipers. So
yep.
It depends on playstyle though. Like with the way that we play the game, which is pushing everything, I don't think those bigger snipers are ever going to be the play for us. I think if we were the type of people who did recons and then sat on buildings in downtown, we would use HDRs and ZRGs and shit like that. But we just don't. That's not our playstyle. I think a Car9 and a Swiss is always going to be better for aggressive pushes and getting a quick pick and then pushing a building. That kind of playstyle that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to try a fun class that I came up with, the Tundra
20x
with the Ultra Zoom, which is a 2 to 20x, is the fun time.
No, dude. Don't tell people about that.
If you're on PC, I don't know if it's a console thing, but when you zoom all the way up to 20, your graphics get fucked. Because you're rendering these graphics that are 500 meters out. So everything in your scope looks pristine, but when you on ADS, the ground in front of you turns into fucking polygons. It's just everything's the same, flat texture. It's just then it takes a second for the render back, which was fun. But Boopsy can attest to it. I was poking people 500 meters out that you can even see. City's cracked, and he's I don't even see this guy Mythic.
I would see bullet tracers coming from a building 400 meters away, and I would just ping the building and be like, Mythic, look at this guy. And then next thing I know, there's a down in the kill feed. I'd be like, why is this a fucking thing right now? Yeah. So, one final question I have before we move into listener questions is, and we kind of touched on this earlier, Gohan was talking about it. Is it healthy for this game to have a meta weapon? Meaning have a weapon that is just unequivocally the best to use regardless of skill level. So basically the way the FAR is. So is it healthy to have is it healthy in a game with a wildly inconsistent time to kill? This is exactly how I have it written out on the patch note or on the show notes. I said, is it healthy to have a meta in a game where time to kill is wildly inconsistent that rewards low gun skill or low skill guns, aka the Pharah, in the hands of players who don't even have to aim to begin with, aka anyone who uses a controller? This is the way I have it written, and that is how I feel about the current Pharah meta right now. Is this a healthy place for the game to be?
No,
My vote's no.
It's not nearly as fun as it was a few weeks ago. I was bored yesterday and I only played like 3 hours. Mythic, you're muted.
Having a meta has always been bad. Like you have like the DMR meta, ass. The Bruin meta, ass. The MG
Og.
meta, ass. The Og meta, the M16 meta, the fucking burst meta, ass. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't.
That's always the times when people complain about the game the most. Literally
Exactly.
last season, as soon as you got done with the burst rifle meta, the game, nobody complained about guns anyways. They're trying to fix other things, but like the guns were like silent. Everybody was good with it because you could use whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted. Sure, some guns were at disadvantages. The MDev guns were still at disadvantage. You still had a disadvantage with those guns last season, but you could still use them. Now we're to the point where you can't use them. You just can't do it.
Well, so yeah, well, so like the way like they've like with the barrel change, it's completely just like switch the whole like you can't use M-dub guns or Cold War guns, right? Like you Gohan, especially somebody who uses like the Growl, loves the Kilo, like somebody who uses those guns, like you can't compete with a Pharah or like any gun like that. Like you used to be able to. Like last season, I could use a Kilo, I could use a Growl. I could make a new class every game and I could like be effective for my team. But like now that we have a meta, like you have to run a Pharah or a nail gun for you to have like these like to be on par with people who are running these meta guns. Metas are stupid.
I agree.
So I am of the opinion, like I said earlier, there will always be a gun that is the fastest time to kill. But that gun should not also be the easiest gun in the game to use. I think that is what makes for a toxic meta. Like we were in the AMAX meta for a long time. But the AMAX didn't bother me because at least you had to land all your shots and control recoil, which there was some recoil. There wasn't a lot, but there was some. And B, it was a low enough RPM that if you missed a shot because of recoil, your time to kill went up drastically, which made basically any other gun like compete with it if you could force them to miss a shot with your movement or something like that. Like I've said, and I will say it again, I'm sure, the biggest problem with the Pharah is that it takes no skill to use that gun because there's no recoil and it's a fucking laser beam. It's just it's a terrible fucking way to. I can't believe the title of this podcast is going to be, do they even fucking test these guns? That's going to be the title of the podcast because I'm convinced they don't. There's no shot that anyone played with the MG before this patch went live and was like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine.
I think to a degree they wanted it to be that way. Like they probably knew it was a gun that they were going to have to nerf and then nobody would ever use it again. So let's just make it fun for a few days.
It wasn't fun.
I mean,
it was fun for 2 hours when I was the only one who had it leveled
right.
up.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. Like I had fun with it for a few games and I was done. That's probably what they wanted. They wanted to give everybody a shot to be like, oh, that's. I mean, you unlocked it at tier 15. Most of the battle passes, you don't unlock a weapon till level 35. On like all previous battle passes, it was like in the 30s you would unlock a weapon. If I'm not mistaken, like
you know, I think the reason they did this is to get people to buy the extra tiers on the battle pass.
Maybe.
Because if you jumped into the game day one and I, who played for 12 hours, already had it max leveled, and I was frying you in Warzone lobbies, you were probably like, what the fuck, dude? I gotta get this fucking thing. So you probably just bought it or bought the bundle with the blueprint or what the fuck ever, bought the battle pass to where you could get it. And so they got people to pay an extra $15 just so they could use the gun for 4 days until they nerfed it. Which is predatory and horrendous, but I expect nothing less from this fucking company, so it doesn't matter.
It worked.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Essentially, it worked.
I don't understand why people play this game. We're back to that point now. I'm not going to get back into it.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. We've got some listener questions here from Steel Switch, friend of the podcast. This is kind of cap, but we'll answer it anyways. He says, "What are the most annoying sounds you hear when playing with randoms with open mics?" Mine is music. The players will never talk, but the stereo is on and all you hear is music, and it's always rap. Always. It's like the dumb shit doesn't know they have an open mic. And then he followed it up with, "How about this one? Playing around midnight and you hear the little kid talking to his dad, who is the one playing, is talking back to the kid. Why the fuck is this little kid up that late?" So yeah, the craziest thing I usually hear in my open mics is just like people talking. Like there will be two people talking in a quad fill game as if they're in party chat when they're just not. So they'll be talking about, "Can you believe Stephanie wore that short skirt to 10th grade gym class? Can you I can't believe Mrs. Dumb shit math teacher gave us all that homework this weekend when there's a new Warzone patch, dude." It's always just like the dumbest shit. And they're always just talking as if they're the only people on the fucking planet, which they're console kids, so of course that's their perspective, but that's my biggest thing with open mics.
My thing is a fairly new thing. I keep waving
Put
my
your
card here.
Put your credit
There's no
card away
numbers.
before I steal your identity.
There's no numbers here. You can't see anything. It's an inactive credit card anyways. But but anyways, the biggest thing I hate, and I don't know why this became a thing, but it's become more and more common, are freaking teenagers moaning into their mic when you kill them. I hate it. Stop. Like God, stop, dude. I don't want to hear that. I don't care. Get out of my head.
Boopsy hit somebody with a moan in one of my clips. Like he's
That's
like,
why
"I'm
he's
gonna,"
laughing so hard, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he said, "I'm gonna hit this kid with the most sus shit they've ever heard," and it was like,
I
it was the
hate
most intense moan ever. I was like, "What the fuck?" It threw me off for like half a second.
That's the best part about
don't
having a
believe
high
you. Let's
quality
hear it.
mic is you can just get in there and hit them with a dude. No, I've been hitting
hated
people with the
that.
weirdest hot mics lately. Like sometimes I'll die I'll down two people and then get killed by like the third because I'm playing solo quads because I'm playing with Mythic and Screwy or something. And I'll just hit him with, "You're all bird shit," because like I just walked all over him. The only reason I lost is because I had a 30 round mag and an MP5 or something.
Wonder how many kids moan to their mic and their parents walking in like, "What are you doing?"
My-
Like, I just died in this video game, Mom. Like,
Yeah, I just got shit on by Boopsy. I had to moan at him.
look, I'll show you this clip of freaking Nick Merckx doing it. It's
My
funny when he
favorite-
does it.
My favorite hot mic that Boops and I did for like 3 hours was every time we died, we'd start screaming Heartstuck podcast.
Yeah, if any of you found your way here because of those hot mics, just go ahead and leave. You're in the wrong spot.
Or let us know.
Well,
I want to know if it happens. Let us know.
tell me and then
Yeah.
unsubscribe.
But yeah, so like open mics that are like super annoying, like people who are like eating, like that bugs the shit out of me. People who just got like a bag of chips, just you're just like, "Oh my god, bro, fucking relax." At least me
What
and your
about-
mic or something.
It
What
is
about
pretty nice
people-
though.
What about
Whenever
people
you-
who are freestyle rapping to themselves with no beat? Like you just hear some dude mumbling into his mic. He's like,
I've never
it's so
heard that one.
annoying.
It's probably a solo thing. I've never heard that one.
I hear it
I,
all the time.
My
People
favorite,
just, like,
honestly, the
vibing.
best is whenever somebody's giving a call out. You know their teammate's close.
Yeah.
True.
You know where to look for
Right.
them. That's helpful.
Speaking about my favorite things is when they say you're a bullet or you're one shot and you're like full HP,
Yes.
like
You've still
And you
got
have
two
plate.
plates. Yeah.
yeah, you still have a plate or two, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm a bullet."
He's a bullet. He's a bullet. Push him. Push him. Push him. And then you wipe his team.
And his friend's coming up the stairs, and then he'd be like, "Oh, bro, what the fuck? He played it." I'm like, "No, I didn't throw in a fucking plate. Like, your boy fucking lied to you."
My favorite is when you wipe a squad and like they all die. So like you you down 2 people and then you kill the third and they all die at the same time and you can hear them just arguing amongst themselves.
You
You
hear a
just hear
little
him
clip from
screaming at
each
each other.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just hear him like, why did you fucking push this guy or something?
Bro,
Like
I
you can,
fucking told you. Like, and then it cuts off. And you're like, what'd you tell him, man? I'm curious now. Land back here. I want to know.
yeah, dude.
But yeah, so like people breathing too in hot mics, where you just hear them like heavy breathing, and it's like, dude, like, I
Mouth
take the
breathing.
mic out of take your mic out of your throat and play the video game. Relax. Like that's one thing that we've ran into a lot, like leveling up guns in Cold War.
Oh
Is
god.
where you have these hot mics, and I'm just like, what the fuck
Bro,
is
I swear people that play multiplayer, I don't hear it as much in Warzone. People play multiplayer just straight up have like the Xbox Kinetic mics. Literally what it sounds like all the time. You
Dude,
hear
my
everything.
favorite thing.
I can hear
speaking
their
of-
wife in the kitchen opening the oven. Like,
Speaking of
what I can
fucking
hear.
multiplayer hot mics, dude, my favorite is when somebody gets play of the game and you can tell they don't get out much, you know, because they as soon as their name tag shows up for play of the game, they just start talking shit like they're God's gift to humanity, and then me and Mythic just start tearing them apart because you can tell it's all aim assist. Like God, it's so fucking
yeah,
funny.
and then all he can say, like all he follows it up with is you're trash. Like that's all that like he's never like had a confrontation. Like he wasn't alive for the fucking MW2 fucking lobbies where everybody was blatantly racist and like you would think your life from the comms you got in those
Yeah,
lobbies.
I'm fucking 54-12 and this dude's 36-25 and he's calling me trash because he got fucking play of the game with a bullfrog running around with a street sweeper and a stun grenade in his left hand doing that fucking stupid glitch, and he got like a 4-piece and he's calling me trash when he's got a 1.2 KD and I've got a 2.8 or some shit on the lobby.
Yeah. You're trash, you're trash, you're trash. Yo, look at you, you're so bad. And then we start, oh man, your fucking controller is so good, bro. I love your aim assist, man. You should definitely go pro. You should go try out for phase. And then like, oh, you're trash.
Stomp on the scuff controller. Toad stomp on the scuff controller.
Yeah. They're just they have one insult, and then you like start tearing them apart with every like ounce of their being, and they just like don't know what to say. So like they pause for a half second and just revert back to saying you're trash.
You're trash.
Like,
you're trash.
okay, yeah.
God.
But
All right. Is there anything else anyone wants to say?
Yeah, before we wrap it up, if you love our intro and our outro, go fucking sub to our boy Equator's SoundCloud, link in the description, and go follow him on YouTube because he's the one who's made all of our beats for the podcast. That's it.
Yeah, he
all I
makes
got.
phenomenal music. Go on. Anything to add?
Enjoy your weekend for dance, boys. Hopefully it's a little better than this last one.
Enjoy the far, everybody. All right. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, and we will catch you next time. In the meantime, you can catch more of the Hard Stuck Boys over at Twitch, twitch.tv/hey_it's_mythic, twitch.tv/itsbrohan, that's ITSBROHAAN, and twitch.tv/itsboopsy, ITSBOOPSY. Be sure to join the Discord to find people to play with, ask podcast questions, and stay up to date on any news regarding the podcast. The link to all of these things will be in the podcast description below. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hard Stuck Podcast, and until next time, GG's.
Peace.